I'm Meredith Klein, host of Tango Stories, which brings you glimpses into the lives of the dancers, musicians, organizers, and DJs who are part of the worldwide resurgence of Argentine tango. Thanks for joining me here on Usala Radio. Today I have in the studio an accomplished Argentine pianist, guitarist, and composer and arranger, Mariano Castro, who currently lives in Bucharest, Romania, and is just passing through Philadelphia. But he's from Argentina, living in Bucharest. Mariano, I'm so happy you could join me here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad to be here again in Philadelphia.
The last time you passed through here, I believe it was 2012, is that right?
Yes, right. I was on touring in the States in 2012, yes.
And it turned out, in retrospect, to have been a very pivotal moment for you when everything was about to change.
Yes, exactly. It was a moment 1 year before, in 2011, I met the girl who now is my wife. From there, I was touring in Europe, so I met her in Bucharest. We get in love like instantly.
Aww.
And after like 2 years, we get married. So in 2012 was the year that I start to check how it was to live there in Romania and in Bucharest, and to plan this new career. I realized in that moment that if I want to stay there, I should start my career from zero. Until that moment, I had a very nice and rich career. But at that point, I said, okay, I will start like from zero. And so I start to think in new projects and to see what was the possibilities for me there.
Before we talk about those new projects, can you describe to us what you had been working on before that?
Yeah, from 2002, I finished the university in Argentina and in music, in piano and guitar and composition, and I started to travel a lot. That was the most important things I made for me was really nice. I started to travel mostly to the States, to Canada, Latin America and Europe, and always with tango music and classical music, mainly playing Argentinian composers. And that until 2007, when I started to play with, I was called by a big and famous band in that moment, what was Narcotango, that was, they were playing this new modern electro neo tango. And also with them I play a lot of years. And in those years, from 2007 until 2012, we really have a lot of concerts and tours around the world.
Narcotango was amazingly popular. It still is.
Yeah, we had the chance to be 2 times nominated for Latin Grammy Awards.
That's awesome.
So that was, they opened a lot of doors to us to play around the world and to make what we love. That was to mix styles and to take tango to another place. We also used the influence. We were influenced a little bit with the jazz music. For example, jazz has these kind of different kinds of jazz. Like you have like modern jazz, cool jazz, smooth jazz, even neo jazz and new jazz. So we said we should make something like that with tango also, because tango always was very traditional. Tango, you just play tango, and it was always very difficult in Argentina to can play modern tango for anyone. So also was for us in that moment. So we were lucky that the world gave us an opportunity to show. So we record many albums, DVD. We play a lot of concerts, and so I was really very busy with Narcotango until 2012.
So you passed through Philadelphia kind of on your way to go live in Romania, more or less, and you're thinking about how to do something new because you were leaving your fellow musicians from Narcotango in Buenos Aires, right? And you were kind of embarking on something new in Romania. And you've had enormous success in Romania. All over YouTube, I find these really amazing videos of you performing in front of major symphony orchestras in pieces that you actually orchestrated and arranged. Is that right?
Yeah. When I arrived to Romania, I realized how good was the classical music there. The level of classical music, it's really incredible. They are full of symphonic orchestras on an incredible level. So I proposed myself at that point to make a symphonic tango concert and to take tango to this symphonic world. I saw that in some other countries like Germany or France, but never was too much made this kind of symphonic tango. So I said I will start to write. I studied that part also of orchestration and arrangement. So I say, okay, my idea is to take tango to this symphonic world. So I had the first opportunity. Thankfully, it was a very big, important orchestra and venue. So after that first concert was almost immediately success. I played that concert in that symphonic concert in Romania with more than 30 symphonic orchestras there.
What?
Yeah, well, almost with all the orchestras there.
Just the idea that there's 30 symphonic orchestras in Romania is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's a very rich classical music tradition.
Yes, exactly. It's European tradition, and they keep them. People go to concert. They love the people love to go to symphonic concerts, and this was a new music in that world. For them was really something new. They like very much. They have this Latin root, so they feel the tango, no?
Interesting.
So my idea was to show an authentic tango, no? Also to show tango as it is, because sometimes also in Europe, I mean, and in some other parts of the world, they play tango, but they don't play as it should be. They play kind of what they can, in fact. But
it ends up sounding extremely watered down.
Yeah, exactly.
If you know tango. So that's a huge part of your work, is to go in and work with the classical musicians and explain to them the effects, the kind of some weird ways of using the instruments that are common in tango, and teach them to do those things?
Yes, one of the things is that for me it's very important to the connection with the conductor, because in fact the conductor is like the chief of the orchestra, so he is the one who tells the orchestra, but I work very much with the conductors to teach the conductors all that things, some effects, some ways of playing, also some phrasing, some things that are characteristic in tango, just in tango, or maybe you can find on some romantic music or some contemporary music. So even if you write, you need to explain a little bit more, no? To develop the ideas. So yes, it's a thing I like very much, because it's the music from my city and the music I listen all my life, and to come bring it to these big venues and great orchestra, it's a really a happiness for me to can do that.
And in a way that sounds and feels authentic.
Yes. My idea was to show. In fact, what I did is I select like the composers, arrangers that I like the most from the tango history, and kind of I mix everything I didn't want to show just my arrangements. I wanted to show like the big tango composers. I just adapt them to symphonic orchestra, and that was my work, kind of adapting the music, because the tango is originally written for small orchestra and not symphonic orchestra, no? So I adapt them to big orchestra, and usually I play with 30, 40 instruments, 30, 40 musicians orchestra.
Wow.
Like, so I need to
It's
adapt
huge.
a little. Yeah, it's huge, and I need to adapt a little bit. But it's really a nice thing for me, and now these last years I also could take this project to another countries in Europe, and
Wow.
Next year I will continue with this project that is working really, really very good.
Before we go listen, can you give one specific example of an effect or way of playing the instrument that doesn't exist in classical music but does in tango?
For example, there are especially in two instruments. In tango, we used to have some effects, because in tango we don't use percussion. No,
Yes.
so we replace the percussion with some other percussive effects. For example, like in the violin, we have this that we call chicharra, which is a way to play like behind the bridge with the arc, and it sounds like
Yeah.
So it
With the bow.
With the bow, yes.
Playing kind of on the wrong side of the bridge.
Yes, just before the bridge. So it gives a rhythm effect. It's not easy. Many musicians said, "Are you crazy? I will not play there." But then they see big violinists also playing like that. So it's very important. They learn, and also, for example, it's we have many effects on the double bass, because the double bass also has a very percussive effect. It doesn't have a name, but it's like you play one note, room, and then you hit on the instrument. It's like room, room, room. So it gives like
kind of zumba.
Of zumba, yes, and gives like kind of a beat, and you feel the rhythm very clear. So
those things really help to replace having percussion, a drum kit,
exactly.
or
yes. The tango never wanted to use percussion, and in fact, if you try with percussion, it doesn't sound.
No, but the other instruments have to take up the slack.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
These ways.
Yes. Also the piano, but in the piano, I have the chance to play. I play with the orchestra, so that for me, I play all these effects on the piano.
Yes, but that's second nature for you.
Yeah,
as a tango pianist.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's take a moment and listen to part of Invierno Porteño, amazing composition by Astor Piazzolla, one of the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires, appropriate now because it's winter, and it's arranged and orchestrated by you, Mariano Castro, that's right, played by the Orchestra Filarmonia Târgu Mureș in Romania, with conductor Josef Horvath. Invierno Porteño. So again, that was Invierno Porteño, played by the Orchestra Filarmonia Targu Mureș from Romania, with conductor Josef Horvath and pianist Mariano Castro. And also that arrangement of the Piazzolla piece was done by my guest, Mariano Castro. So something I don't think I've ever heard before from anyone I've talked to in tango. Your grandmother was an accomplished tango pianist.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's amazing for so many reasons.
Yes, she was a tango pianist, and the most important thing, she was a tango pianist in the golden era of tango, because when we say the golden era of tango, we are talking about the 30s, the 40s. So in that moment, she was a tango pianist. It was a good moment.
Unbelievable, yes. Yes.
It also was a great moment of Buenos Aires. We said that Buenos Aires in that moment was really a very rich city, and Argentina in general was was a wonderful Buenos Aires. That why also was a great era of tango. This golden era of tango represents also the golden era of Buenos Aires and Argentina. So she. In fact, she was a classical pianist. She went to the conservatory, and then when after 20 years old, she started to play tango and to play this music, mostly influenced by her father. And if you want, I can tell you the story of how she arrived to tango, even without wanting to play tango.
So this is your great-grandfather who was a tango fan?
Yes, he was a really great tango fan. My great-grandfather, he was a sheriff, kind of a sheriff in Buenos Aires. And the story that my grandmother always told me was that my great-grandfather had came a very big and well-known composer, tango composer, one of the most famous on those years, Julio De Caro. And Julio De Caro came to him because he had a problem. We don't know what was the problem, but he somehow had a problem.
Some sort of problem with the law.
Some problem with the law. Yes, that probably a policeman like him would resolve that problem.
Wow.
So he came to him, and my great-grandfather, somehow he resolved his problem, and Julio De Caro was really very thankful to him, and he said, whatever you need, I'm here for you if you want to come to concerts or anything. And so my great-grandfather told, okay, maybe I have an idea. My little daughter is a pianist, but she just plays classical music every day, playing Mendelssohn, Chopin, Mozart.
And I'm bored. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Yes, and now the tango is so popular. I would like her to play some tangos. And Julio De Caro, with his brother Francisco De Caro, two great composers, really very important composers, they opened on those years kind of a tango school, conservatory, in fact, the first tango conservatory in Buenos Aires. So Julio De Caro told, bring her to the conservatory. We will teach her for free. So my grandmother always told me the story that she had the chance to study with Francisco De Caro, which is considered one of the best tango composers ever and a great tango pianist.
And together with his brother.
And together with his brother, yes.
They set tango on a course.
Yeah. They were the first academic musicians, that really great musicians and arrangers. They were classical trained.
Kind of laid the foundation for all the other developments we've seen in tango history.
Yeah. In fact, when we celebrate the Tango's Day, it's about Gardel and De Caro. It's like December 11th. So,
and your grandmother actually knew the brothers,
Francisco
and Julio, and got to study in their conservatory.
She was like 3 years studying there, and for me, at the beginning, was not a big influence, in the sense that I started also playing classical music and some other styles, and then when I get older, after 20s like that, I was interested in tango, and when I started to listen to her playing tango, was like, wow, she had this kind of way of playing from those years, which is really very hard to recreate now. You should live on those years to come play on that style. It's very difficult for us, kind of modern tango musicians, to play in this style of the 30s or 40s, which is really great. No, so I was not very influenced at the beginning, but then after 20 years old, yes, she told me a lot of stories and how was tango on those years. Like they were full of orchestras, they were full of work. I mean, if you were a musician, a tango musician, you could work a lot and playing like 6-7 concerts on a night, because they used to play like kind of clubs, but big clubs where people goes to dance. So they were like, that why was the golden era of tango. Like was everywhere. The thing also was that usually the women used to play jazz women, and they didn't mix with men. So
the female musicians were not welcome in the orchestras that we know of.
Yeah.
But they did form their own orchestras.
Yeah. There were many. They were called the Orquestra de Señoritas. So they used to play just women, and
but they would go out and play.
Yeah.
Clubs.
They were professional also. Yeah. Many of them were
and
professional.
Your grandmother,
yes,
among them.
Yes, until she got married, she was playing a lot with that. Then she stopped because she got married with a famous soccer player.
No way.
Yeah. So
I don't know that part.
Yeah. So I have the two traditional things: the tango and the soccer
in my
family. Yeah, he was a professional soccer player. He played in Argentina and also in Brazil.
For San Lorenzo?
That's why.
That's why you're first. Yes, of course.
It's my team and all my family. We are crazy about San Lorenzo.
Your grandfather played for San Lorenzo?
Yeah. He was. Yeah. He won a couple of championships with San Lorenzo.
Did you say he was on the national team? No.
No. He didn't arrive, but he went to play two teams in Brazil, also Santos and Botafogo, two big
That's
teams.
Amazing.
Yes,
and it's important to say that in Argentina he played on San Lorenzo, the team that Papa Francisco roots
that's right.
for. It's the Pope's team.
Exactly, the Pope's team. Now we are more famous. We are even famous.
Even famouser.
Famouser because of him. Yeah. So
okay, that's all. You've just blown my mind. Wow.
So that's. Until that moment, also my grandfather told my grandmother, you should not play anymore, just come with me. And he used to travel a lot with soccer. But it was a big influence for me, even without realizing that it was. No, I mean, I just listened to her and her stories, and now that I'm getting older, I realize how important was for me her influence. She was the only musician in all my family.
Yes.
She and me, and just the rest no one.
And you're so lucky that she lived long enough to pass on a lot to you.
Yeah. In fact, she lived until 2005, so she could know about my first tours around the world. She was very happy that I was playing tango. Cool. Yes. And I used to play a little bit with her. I also play the guitar, so we used to play together sometimes some tango. But she was so good that I feel that I could not play with her.
I know it was slightly before iPhones, but did you take videos of her playing?
No, not much. No. I just, because she was like very spontaneous. So sometimes she didn't want to play at all, because she said that she didn't play for many years. So, but from time to time, I convince her, okay, and I bring her some little keyboards to play, and she plays some incredible comparsitas, el choclo, some tango standards in an incredible way. I mean, very hard to recreate that way of playing. Very close to what is the jazz music. I mean, if you think in jazz, and you can try to play like they play in the 30s, 40s, it's really hard. I mean, I think it has something to do with the period you live. Also, you could feel that kind of mood of playing, really, and phrasing. It's a kind of way of talking. We say that in tango you need, like, when you play, you talk a little bit, the kind of phrasing. So. Also in Buenos Aires, on those years, they used to talk on some different as we talk now. So I relate to that.
In fact, Julio De Caro spoke over his recordings.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And then
literally.
And they used to speak like different as we speak now.
It's just so fascinating. So those first tours that your grandmother was alive and got to know that you were off in the world performing, that was with Narcotango, right?
No.
Not yet.
The first tours I had the chance to come here to the States and to Canada. I was like 25, 26 years old, and I started to travel. And the first tours I used to come in duet with a flute player playing tango and classical Argentinian music. And then from 2007, I started to travel with Narcotango.
Ah, okay, 2007.
Yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about Narcotango because I remember I started dancing tango in 1999, but it still felt pretty new in the mid-2000s when I started to be aware of electronic tango and see how for the first time tango was in people's ears all over the world, that you go into a restaurant and you would hear Narcotango or the Goten Project. You'd hear it as background music on award ceremonies and in subways and all over the place. And what you did by really creating this genre of electronic tango, it made tango much more accessible and led to people getting open to tango music and to considering dancing tango. And I know we see with our beginner students that very often they can relate to a Narcotango, for example, before they can relate to traditional tangos recorded in the 30s and 40s.
Yes. For me, it was a very nice experience. I played with them from 2007 until 2016, in fact, when we closed the project. Yes, the idea was to bring some contemporary music. We could set tango or electro tango. We didn't want to be like with a style, no. But the idea was to come to represent the music for us. The idea was the music represents the time that we are living. So we say let's make a music that represents this period of life. I mean. Because that is many times it's important in any kind of art to the art that you make represents the period of life that you are living. So that was the main idea, and having the chance to travel on many parts in the world, we learned a lot of different music in different parts of the world. We were shocked the first time we were in Berlin, for example, with the avant-garde on any kind of music. Like we were like really shocked, and we say we should make something like this and put our tango there. So for us the idea was to bring tango and to bring this music of Buenos Aires to this era, to these years that we are living now, with this globalization, with these modern things, with the technology. We use a lot of technology. I've been very friend to technology, so Narcotango was also a chance for me to experiment with synthesizers, with sounds.
So you did a lot of that.
Yeah. I used to play not just the piano, but synthesizers and sounds and beats.
Wow.
And yes, it was a project that really was very welcome in many parts of the world. We had the chance to be 2 times nominated for Latin Grammy and to be the first electro tango band nominated
on
the best tango album category.
Huge.
I mean, we had our competitors.
That's breaking some barriers.
Yeah. So it was really very nice, and this chance to can travel a lot also opened very much our minds. That I always been very thankful for that, because when you travel so much and you have the chance to go to festivals, to different kinds of venues, and when you listen to other projects like yours but from another parts of the world, it's really you become richer in all the senses. I mean, in sense
your life, your music,
your
outlook,
and your mind.
Yes.
So that was the idea. We made like 5 albums and 1 DVD, and still now it's music that it's much heard in many places and very used on TV shows, movies, and documentals. All the time we listen our music and on many other things.
That must be a crazy sensation to find yourself in a public space and you hear your own music playing.
Yeah. In different
on
cities.
A plane or wherever it is. Let's take a listen now to.
Sure.
I chose Vi Luz y Subí. Which album is this from?
It's a Narcotango Uno, first album.
It's from the very first album.
One of the,
And it's the first track.
It's the first track,
Okay. Let's listen to Narcotango's Vi Luz y Subí. So talking about two really important subjects, tango and football or soccer. Since we have you here, I really just have to ask you to tell the story of when you met Lionel Messi.
Okay. I was really very lucky to at least to meet him once.
I hope to be that lucky.
Yeah, well, it was Barcelona's team was making a tour in Romania. They want to play friendly match with Dinamo from Bucharest. And the ambassador of Argentina in Bucharest, he had the great idea to ask for Barcelona to make a meeting with the two Argentine players, who were Lionel Messi and Javier Mascherano, to meet the Argentinian community there in Romania. Fortunately for me and the Argentinian community, we were just 12 people. The Argentinian
It's amazing that all 40 million Argentines didn't move to Romania in advance of that meeting, right?
Yeah. We were lucky that also was this Dinamo from Bucharest. They paid a lot of money to bring Barcelona, so they were really open to come. And so we went to the hotel where they were, and we spent like half an hour with them, with Messi and with Mascherano. I had the chance to talk with him. He told me even that the ambassador introduced officially him. He said, Messi, look, it's Mariano, he's an Argentinian musician here in Bucharest. And he told me, oh, look, I like very much music. I like to play the guitar. I play really bad, but I like to play. He explained me what the music he uses to listen. He likes reggae music. He likes some Argentinian.
Did you offer him lessons?
No, I would like.
By Skype.
Yeah, I would like, but I told him, if you need some tips, you can ask me.
This is my card.
Yeah, but he's a really very modest and sensitive person, and we enjoy really very much. was really some magical minutes to can talk with him and to see that he's such a modest person and really nice and incredible talent soccer player, of course. No? And it was funny that I have three nephews in Argentina, and my nephews are, of course, crazy about him. And when I sent them the pictures and the video I record, oh my God, my uncle, what did you talk with him? They were just very curious what I talk with him. And I always joke with that. I say, what I talk with him, I talk this. Okay, Lionel, when you are like in front of the goalkeeper, just to make, just think to shoot like on the most far away bar. That was thing that Maradona uses to tell. So but I didn't tell him that. But it's a nice story for my nephew. So. But it was really nice. Well, a nice experience and very nice pictures.
Yes, I love the picture that I got of that you sent of that occasion, because it looks like you're explaining something very sagely and very expert, and Messi's there like very serious and very listening and very, like, I want to understand maestro. It's like what his face says. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, it was very
what
funny.
An amazing thing.
Yeah, it was very funny that I remember that you promote the concert in Philadelphia, my concert in Philadelphia at that point, that be like Messi, come and listen to Mariano.
I did?
You did that.
I clearly had better ideas in the past. Why didn't I do that again this time?
No, it was okay. For that moment was...
Be like Messi.
Be like Messi, come and listen, Mariano. You put that picture.
That's awesome. Wow. Go me, right? So, wow. Well, back to music, because I think we're going toward wrapping up this interview. What do you have coming up? What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I have this 2019 will be also a very nice musical year for me. I'm involved in many different projects. I'm in 3 different crossover symphonic projects where I play the piano and write the arrangements. I have the new symphonic tango concerts. I'm also working that I already made last year with the music made by that used to sing Edith Piaf, French music, very nice music. Also, I wrote the arrangements. And also I made a new project with symphonic arrangements of popular Romanian music. I was challenged by a conductor. He told me, "Can you make?" And I say, "I think I can." So I wrote it, and so this year I will be playing all that. I also will be playing in Europe with Carlos Libedinsky, with Narcotango's bandoneon player. We play in duet, and we will be playing in Germany, in Italy, in Denmark. And also with this symphonic project, I will be playing outside Romania, in Switzerland, in Czech Republic, and some other countries. It will be a nice year, and hopefully I will be back in the States. I hope in October, November for some concerts.
We very much hope so. But it's super interesting that what started off as a tango classical crossover, genre crossing project has evolved to be classical with many other genres, right? With French song, with Romanian traditional music.
I've been lucky that, I don't know if I've been lucky, but I think that many conductors I was challenged in this sense to make new crossover projects, because they told me, look, that there's a problem with the orchestrations or with the arrangements. There are not people writing very good on that, and many people doesn't want to write that. So they told me, you are very good in this. Keep on writing. You will be these kind of crossover projects are very successful all over the world. In fact, nowadays you can listen in New York, the New York Philharmonic playing with DJs, even sometimes going to that point of crossover. Wow. So it was really a challenge at the beginning, but now it's a work that I like very much. So half of my time I'm playing concerts and half of my time I'm writing arrangements.
All of that arranging, and for these big groups, these symphony orchestras of such high level, does it start your composer brain going?
Yeah. You need to, when you arrange music, you need to compose a lot, in fact, because you just keep the melody, and all the rest is composition. It's when you study arrangements, it's a part of composition studies, in fact. No? So
does that start spawning ideas for your own compositions that
yeah.
unrelated to these projects.
Yeah, and many times I find things that then I use for my compositions, no, and then
Yes.
sometimes I find something on a tango and I say, this is too good for this. I will take for mine, and I start a new composition.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like those early tours you were talking about, where you would hear electronic tango music as it was happening in Berlin, and get all these influences from all over the world, and loop it back in to the music you were making.
Yeah, it's very important.
So this is kind of feeding you as a musician and a composer.
Yeah, exactly. For a musician, it's very important, that part, to be open to listen any kind of music. Especially when you write music, you need to have influence, different kinds of influence, and to listen things that opens your mind. That's what really helps me very much. Not just the studies. The studies are very important, of course, but I will say a phrase that the famous French composer Maurice Ravel, he uses to say, being one of the greatest composers ever. He said that his best composition teacher was Edgar Allan Poe, who in fact is a writer, not a musician.
And who lived quite close to here.
Yeah, exactly. So, the important thing is to open your mind and to be more imaginative, and to take your mind to another part. No,
and to have these huge orchestras, which is what you're getting to play in big venues with really with large numbers of people in the audience, and very enthusiastic audiences, and then playing alongside really high-level symphony orchestras. All of that is inspiring auditorily and emotionally to have such a, because tango, I guess in the golden age there were huge audiences that were following tango musicians around. But it hasn't been the reality mostly in our lifetime, right?
Yeah, we say right now that in Buenos Aires tango it's kind of an underground music. It's not the most popular music.
And yet it's much more prominent than it was 10 years ago, right? And still underground.
Yeah, and still underground. Yeah. People think that I go to Buenos Aires and everything will be tango. No, it's not so much. And
so to be in Europe and playing in major venues with incredible musicians and getting that feedback, it's great. It must feel good.
I'm very thankful, to God and everyone who helped me, and it's an opportunity for me to take my music, my culture, to these places where people appreciate music, are exigent audiences also. So that at the beginning was really a challenge for me.
Demanding audiences.
Yeah, very demanding audiences. They are used to listen like the best soloist and the best orchestra and the best composers also. So for me to put my music and my arrangements there was a really big challenge, and I'm happy that now for me it's an unusual thing, but at the beginning was a really very hard.
Putting yourself out.
And the first concert I had there, it was like, for me was like kind of my first concert ever, because it was like I get so nervous before because everything was new. You know, they have like kind of a protocol where the orchestra enters into the stage, then the soloists and the conductor.
And all of a sudden that was you.
Yes, it's kind of a ceremony that I was not used to that. So was really to start from zero. So that's why I always said for me that moment was to start from zero my career and to start a new career. In fact, I used to have a career until that moment, and from that moment I started a new one.
Yeah.
And a very nice one.
Yeah. How wonderful.
Thank you.
Just very, very, very happy for you, and so glad we could connect again after these years. So we're going to listen to one more piece that you brought. It's Gallo Ciego, which is a tango that we know well, but it's played by a Romanian string quartet?
Yeah. Gallo Ciego is a traditional tango. This is an arrangement I wrote, and I recorded with a strings quartet. In Romania, the strings player are really very high level. And in this case, Quartet Passione, it's our 4 beautiful women, extremely very good players and very disciplined musicians. So it was really, a really very nice collaboration I have with them. So this is an example of that recording and this collaboration.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here, Mariano.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm glad to be here again in Philadelphia. Very
glad you're here. And now we listen to Gallo Ciego. have time for one more track today on the show, and we're going to get to listen to another recording of Mariano Castro, the pianist that we've been talking to today. This recording was made live at the Philadelphia Argentine Tango School on Saturday, January 12th, and it's a combination of the cadenza of Lo que vendrá with Libertango, two different compositions of Astor Piazzolla, both arranged and performed by pianist Mariano Castro. Thanks for tuning into Tango Stories today. I'm your host, Meredith Klein. See you next week here on Usala Radio.